In the world of Naruto, we've been introduced to countless prodigies, but not all prodigies we've encountered are equal. Some are just so special that their brilliance couldn't be appreciated until after they passed away, and one such prodigy is Neji Hyuga. In fact, even by the events of the Boruto era, Neji, despite being dead for 16 years now, Neji's brilliance still stood out amongst the ninja who Naruto had met. Even crazier, due to something that Neji left behind, Naruto Uzumaki, a man who has fought powerful Otsutsuki like Kaguya and Tsuneri and Momoshiki, a utter combat master in his own right, Naruto found himself learning combat training from Neji Hyuga, seeking to gain some of the wisdom that Neji left behind. In today's edition of Naruto Retsuden, we're going to look at how Neji was able to train Naruto Uzumaki from beyond the grave. The information is given to us in the story Naruto Retsuden, the Seventh Hokage, and the Spiral of Destiny. In the scene I'm going to share with you guys, an utterly exhausted Naruto has sat down on his couch to discuss his failed training with Hinata, where Naruto has tried using the ninja tech that Orochimaru created, which allows for the chakra of someone who possesses a dojutsu to be sealed into a pair of goggles, which allows for the user to use the Kekkei Genkai of that person via the goggles at the expense of the person who gives up their chakra can no longer mold chakra while the goggles are active. For Naruto's own goggles, Hinata's chakra was sealed into those goggles, and Naruto, being the curious fellow that he is, began trying to use the goggles for training. After all, for a guy who possesses mastery of all 5 changes in chakra nature and understanding of all things chakra, the learning curve shouldn't be as steep as it normally would be, right? Well, not exactly. In typical Naruto fashion, he can't do what his son Boruto does and just look at a jutsu and figure out enough of the mechanics that he doesn't need to work extremely hard to figure out the rest. He can't do like Kakashi and just look at a jutsu and say, this is now our jutsu. Naruto cuts on those goggles, and the sensory overload of the Byakugan's 360-degree vision overwhelmed Naruto. He's stumbling over his own feet, he's smacking into branches, he's finding it hard not to be distracted by every little single sensation that he sees and all the chakra networks of the people around him. For a guy who has saved the world more times than he has children, it was a frustrating moment to admit his failure to his wife. In fact, it embarrassed Naruto. Upon hearing this, Hinata tries to explain, quite poorly might I add, how Naruto can try to use the Byakugan, but Hinata realizes that even if Naruto were to go to Hanabi and ask for advice because Hanabi is a better teacher than her, neither of them would be able to give Naruto the advice that he fully needs, because there are just things that they as Hyuga, they can do naturally that they can't put into words. However, it's then that we circle back to Neji and how Neji trained Naruto from beyond the grave. Now, nobody got the Dragon Balls and brought Neji back from the dead, nor is this clickbait. This actually happened. Instead, Hinata goes to retrieve a box where she has her precious items that she has. Items like boards on Himawari's umbilical cords, and the first ticket that she had to go see a movie with Naruto as a couple, which Kishimoto actually drew a one-shot manga for that, and even a ticket to the live-action Ichiya Tactics movie, which Hinata has some explaining to do for that one. Looks like the whole prim and proper facade that she puts on, it might be a little bit of an act right there. Somewhere Jiraiya is both proud of his student for getting a wife who can appreciate his work, but also highly disappointed that he didn't get to do some research on the actresses auditioning for the roles in the movie based off of his book. It's with a very heavy heart Hinata gives Naruto Neji's training journal, where Neji wrote down all of his training with the Byakugan as well as some of his own personal thoughts, step for step, how Neji was figuring out how to use the main branch's jutsu and his attempts at making his Byakugan more effective, how he was dealing with the blind spot, and even his most precious thoughts on Tenten, which, yes, Tenten and Neji shippers, I think you guys might have been robbed. Hinata reveals that when she feels lonely, she reads Neji's journal. When she misses Neji, she also reads Neji's journal because it makes her feel closer to him, which is so sad to think about, given that the family and the happiness that she enjoys is mostly due to Neji taking that back scratcher from hell in order to protect Naruto and Hinata during the 4th Great Ninja War. As Naruto begins to read Neji's journal, it's in that moment that Naruto realizes that for all the geniuses that he's encountered before, Neji might very well have been one of the most authentic geniuses who he's ever met. And for a moment, reading Neji's journal puts Naruto to utter shame. With the scene and the context finally being set, it's here I'm going to begin reading the scene from the novel, and then I'm going to come back to you guys my thoughts, and it's here I quote, "Once again, Naruto looked back back at the pages. They were records of his training, all written down without missing a day. Neji was just that type of a guy. Even though he was a genius, he always worked hard. He was strict with himself and with others, never compromising. He wasn't careful in figuring out every chakra point that flowed through the channels of the chakra system. Rather, he found it more proficient to predict the next movement by paying attention to the chakra system as a whole. My present goal was to get rid of Tenten's depression, Neji wrote. The two of them, they were particularly annoyed about the rain that day. As soon as I looked away, the springtime of youth theatrics began, Neji wrote. Tenten summoned her folded iron fan. It cut my cheeks as I was unable to avoid its path, Neji wrote. The next part was covering how Neji discovered the Byakugan's blind spots. Then about how he was eliminated from the first round by Naruto. That guy was amazing. He didn't have to use his imagination to know he'd surpass everyone's expectations. The notebook was fully discolored and yellowed, surprisingly beautiful considering its age. It was proof that Hinata carefully stored it inside of her treasure chest. Do you think Neji would be angry if I showed it to you? Hinata asked. But you've read it, right, Hinata? Naruto retorted. Yes, Hinata replied. Hinata's voice lowered just as she awkwardly nodded her head. Just a little bit. When I get lonely, it's my secret, she said with a whisper, but she was certain that Naruto heard him. He was a fine guy, that Neji Hyuga. End quote. Now, what I love about this is that the section of the training journal that Naruto read covered the events of the Chunin exams and how he was working on covering the Byakugan's blind spots. Naruto read through the softer side of Neji, the angry side from the Chunin exams era to the version of Neji who Naruto humbled in the time afterwards with that uppercut from hell. For Naruto, the only thing he could say was that Neji was a fine guy, but the small bit of the journal that he read here showed that even for someone as talented as Neji, a genius, the genius of the Hyuga clan, even he had to meticulously train in order to master the Byakugan and his fighting style. Naruto would spend the next day trying to use Neji's advice that was inside the journal, checking the journal repeatedly. Instead of focusing on every detail around him, he began clearing his mind and focusing his eyes on only one chakra system at a time, going over the details and memorizing them and then moving on, focusing on allowing the 360 degree or near 360 degree vision to not overload him by processing every single detail in front of him, but instead Naruto will focus on it one by one. For combat training, trying to use the chakra network, he was watching as a way to predict the movements of a target, similar to how the Sharingan Eye Insight allows a person to do the same thing. Naruto's trying to do the same with the Byakugan goggles. It makes you look at the Ishiki versus Baryon mode Naruto battle a lot differently now. Naruto definitely got increased vision. We all saw that, but he wasn't overloaded, and at times he was predicting Ishiki's counterattacks to his own attacks, and Naruto was adjusting in real time before Ishiki himself could counter, just like he begun doing with the training while using these Byakugan goggles, focusing on one thing at a time. It's almost like Naruto was fighting Ishiki while wearing these goggles if you think about it. While they weren't physically on his eyes, Naruto's treating this enhanced vision that he got with Baryon mode the same way he treated using those goggles. No wasted observations, no wasted movements. Just as Kurama told him was the key to mastering Baryon mode, so too is the key in starting to grasp how to use the goggles that allowed him to use the Byakugan. It all came back to what Neji wrote down. What I love about this is that though it's brief, this one scene allows for Neji to have some relevancy to the story, and it shows how even after a character dies, their weight can still be felt in the story. So my question to you guys is, do you think the training that Naruto had with these goggles helped him get prepared for aspects of maintaining Baryon mode? And where does Neji rank for you in the list of Naruto geniuses? While you think that over, click here to watch this video from KRYPTONIAN SAIYAN, or click here to watch this Naruto Explain video.